and I looked down, and there was my body on the bed, sprawled out like roadkill.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, I that's my body down there, and I'm up here. I'm
Mm.
not my body. I'm
Mm.
my consciousness.
Hello, my name's Imagine, the host of Master of Your Crafts podcast. Learning from leaders who are continuously inspired, passionate, and driven to align with their soul purpose, sharing their gifts to bring healing to others. The music is composed by Rebecca Everett. Today is episode number 169, and I had the pleasure of talking to Stephen Hawley Martin, an award-winning author and former principal at the Martin Agency, who has written and ghostwritten dozens of books, including 3 Writers' Digest book award winners. As publisher of the Oaklea Press, he helps authors bring compelling stories to life. Enjoy this conversation and thank you for watching. Hello and welcome to Stephen. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome. I'm excited to get into a conversation about not only your publishing company and what took you on the path to get there, but also a little bit more about your journey into the metaphysical and the unseen world, as we say. So I'm curious to kind of unfold into some of those pieces, but I'm going to start off with a really big, bold question. What do you believe about yourself, and does it define who Stephen is at this moment of time?
What do I believe about myself, and does it define who Stephen is? Well,
Yeah.
Stephen is energy.
Uh-huh.
I think everything is energy. All is energy. We're all one great big energy. And
Yeah.
I kind of view myself as a little whirlpool of energy within that great big
Yeah.
energy that we're all part of. I look at each of us, including myself, as sort of a character in the dream that I guess the best word to use would be source, which is the
Mm-hmm.
all of energy. Uh,
Right.
it's we're each characters in that dream, and so
Yeah.
when each of us dream at night, uh, we have a point of view when we're dreaming, but there are lots of characters often in our dreams, and we typically are one of them. And
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how I look at reality. So I don't. I see myself as part of the whole, but also as uh, a, as I said earlier, a whirlpool of energy that has memories of this life that I'm
Mm-hmm.
living,
Mm-hmm.
and I have beliefs. I have beliefs that I don't even know that I have. Those
Mm-hmm.
beliefs really, I look at the world as a mirror of who I am. It comes, whatever am comes back to me, and so I try to be the good person that will then get good things coming back to me. So that's who I
Yes.
am.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Ultimately, we have the choice and the possibility of working with universal law. That there's no denying of universal laws that are within us, around us, and amongst us that we can leverage and work with to be in more alignment and to be in more synergy with our own lives and perhaps a greater mission or a vision of why we are actually here on this planet, because I think there's a greater reason why we are all here.
Yeah, I agree. I have believed that we're basically here to evolve,
Yeah.
and that's what's happening. Everything, it's look at the Earth. It's evolved from a rock flying around the sun to
Yeah.
something with all this life on it, and all of that life is the energy that's
Right.
evolving, and we are individual little whirlpools that are evolving. And as we evolve, it helps the whole of the source to evolve.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's kind of what's happening. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
also a kind of we're kind of here in an amusement park sort of place
It is.
where we're experiencing things, and sometimes we experience things that aren't so good, but that's part of the whole thing where we face obstacles, and we if we can overcome them, then we are better when we come out the other side of that, and we're more evolved. So
It's part of the ride. It's part of the ride.
that's
Yeah.
what's going on.
Okay. So, what was it that put you into this space of expanded knowledge, awareness, and maybe curiosity into this space of metaphysics, of karma, reincarnation, life after death, and consciousness, and science, and school, and humanity, all of those? And I know I've just thrown a whole bunch at you, but what was it that was the tipping point, if you will, for you that took you down that? I want to say rabbit hole because that's a term that people often understand, but down that category of choices that we have in life.
Well, to tell you from the beginning,
Uh-huh.
grew up in a very practical household. I would say that my parents were pretty much scientific materialists.
Mm.
They weren't very religious at all. Maybe we went to church on Easter and probably did something on Christmas, but it wasn't, I didn't grow up in a spiritually minded home.
Right.
In fact, my mother was kind of anti organized religion in that her husband, my father, had an ancestor, Susanna North Martin, who was hanged as a witch back in the Salem
Mm. Mm.
witch trials, the hysteria that
Mhm.
took place in Massachusetts in,
Mhm.
in 1692. And so
Mm.
she had this I think, frankly, that she was the reincarnation of that woman.
Your mother?
Yeah. And she had this kind of saying against religions because of that. But
Okay.
anyway,
But it was her sister, did you say?
it was not her ancestor, it was my father's ancestor, her
Oh, so
husband.
your father's side. Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. I gotcha.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But anyway, uh, that's what I grew up with. And I believed what I was taught in school. And that is that what I was taught in school is there's only material substance. Matter
Mm.
is all
Mhm.
there is.
Mhm.
That matter, the brain, creates
Mhm.
consciousness, and that
Okay.
consciousness did not exist until
Outside of
evolution produced a brain,
ah,
which is the most ridiculous thing that you can imagine once you
yeah.
realize what's real.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how I grew up, and that's what I thought.
Mhm.
And then when I was about 25 years old, I was still single, and I lived in an apartment in Baltimore, Maryland, with
Mm.
two other single guys. And I was working at an advertising agency, and I had a good job. And basically, what I thought was the purpose of life is to have a good time. You know, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die.
Isn't it? Okay.
And when you're
Hmm,
dead,
did
that's
that change?
it.
Is it different? Wait a minute. Hold on, Stephen. Well, I thought it was this. I thought that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I was
You
a
just
very
burst my bubble.
hedonistic kind of guy. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what I thought. And so one weekend, I was there in that apartment in Baltimore. We lived in an old townhouse. We had a couple of floors in an old
Mhm.
townhouse in Baltimore. And I was up on the second floor in my bedroom, and I was really very sick with
Mm.
the flu.
Mhm.
And ironically, and I think it's also synchronicity, I was reading Kafka's book Metamorphosis, which is, the cockroach turns in. I mean, he turns into a cockroach.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
into about to that part of it when I heard some people downstairs coming into the apartment, and
Yeah.
obviously my my two roommates had
Yeah.
decided to have a party, and they were inviting all those people in. And so
Mm.
in comes this, all these people that I hear them down there having a good time. And I'm up there with my nose running, and I'm sick,
Mhm.
feverish, and I'm trying to read Kafka. And I decided, well, maybe if I get up, put some clothes on, go down there, and maybe I'll feel better. So that's what I
Sure.
did. So
Okay.
I put on some clothes, I went downstairs, and of course they were having a good time. And this was back in the 70s, and this, they were passing around funny cigarettes, and they were, I was drinking scotch, and I
Yeah.
did all that, and
Yeah.
I started just feeling horrible, awful. I mean, like I
Mm.
couldn't. I felt like I was going to pass out.
Mm.
So I almost crawled back upstairs and flopped out of my bed, and it was like it was spinning around. It was like I was the blade of a helicopter that was taking off, and then
Mm.
suddenly it stopped,
Mm.
and I felt okay.
Mm.
And I looked down, and there was my body on the bed, sprawled out like roadkill.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, I that's my body down there, and I'm up here. I'm
Mhm.
not my body. I'm
Mhm.
my consciousness.
Mhm.
And it really didn't last that long. It wasn't a full blown
Indeed.
near death experience where you go through the tunnel and you have a past life review and all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was long enough that then after a little, I had all these thoughts.
Mhm.
And the next thing I knew, it was the next morning, and I felt better, and I woke up, and I thought, well, what is real? What
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
reality?
Mhm.
And that's what started me on the journey. And I've been
Wow.
journeying ever since. I first thing I One of the first things I did was I joined the Rosicrucian Society, which is a society of
Okay.
mystics that
Yeah.
study metaphysics. And back in those days, the way you did that was through I'm sure now it's all online and everything, but there was like a mail order course where you got
Yeah. Oh, I see.
information and you studied it and you took tests. And I went from being what they call a novice to an adept. So I learned all this stuff.
Nice.
And
Good.
frankly, the Rosicrucians know what's going on. But that's
Yeah.
not the only place. I also
Right.
read everything I could get my hands on about metaphysics. Probably the most one that stands out the most was a book that I think was published in 1975 or around the
Mm.
70s, called
Mm.
uh, Life After Life by Raymond Moody, which was all about near death experiences. Raymond Moody had been a medical student. I guess he was a resident at the University of Virginia
Mhm.
School of Medicine, and questioned people who had been clinically dead and revived, uh,
Right.
and found out all this stuff. But anyway, that's how it happened. And I've been up to the university. The University of Virginia has a division. They call it the Division of Perceptual Studies, which has actually was formally established in 1967, but actually
Mm.
work was begun in 1962 by Ian Stevenson. Basically started studying, he was a psychiatrist. He was a Canadian.
Mhm.
Was a graduate of, I think he was first in his medical class at McGill, which is probably one
Mm.
of your best
Mm.
universities.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
And he got a grant from the guy who invented the Xerox machine to
Mm.
study reincarnation. The guy, I've forgotten his name, but he was interested.
Yeah.
He was a Buddhist. I mean, he believed in life.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so Ian Stevenson started studying children's memories of past lives. And
Mm.
as I said, I've interviewed the head of that department a couple of times, and I've actually been up there and talked to all their department heads and people that are
Mhm.
doing this research. They have over 2,500 cases of children
Mhm.
who remember past lives.
Mhm.
They have solved what they call solved over 1,700 of them, which means they found the person the kid was talking about.
Mm.
by the names and dates and occupation,
Verifying all of it. Yeah.
relatives, and where they lived and all that stuff. So anyway, I'll stop talking now, but I've been studying this thing for 50 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
And
are
I've
you
written
still
a
on
number
the
of books
scotch?
about
Or
it.
did you nix the scotch then? And the funny cigarettes?
It was the scotch and the marijuana that did it.
That's right. Okay.
But anyway, and somebody's going to accuse me, well, you had some trip on the no, marijuana doesn't do that to you. It was because I had the flu and all of that stuff didn't mix.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know. I'm just joking. Yeah, that's funny. That's
I
funny.
mean, maybe if it had been LSD, that would have been, but
That's right. That's
we
right.
weren't doing that.
I find it interesting how a life event, well, granted, that was still pretty big, and your sense of curiosity is so big that you just took it because it's a big thing that happened to you when you can see your own body. Like, hold on a second, what the hell's happening here? So I find it interesting how it steered you on your path and how you've looked at life and how you've navigated your own career and curiosity now in the space of the founder and owner of a publishing company.
Yeah.
So supporting others on their stories and their experiences of what they have been through to be able to share with the world, but also from a place of maybe guidance and support and mentorship, dare I say, as a publisher, as an editor, should I say, in supporting others on their journey. So when did you realize, or was it as obvious and as blatant to you as I am hearing it as this is part of your calling?
Yeah. Well, yeah, as I mentioned back when I had this experience, I was working in an ad agency
Yeah.
and I did that for most of my life, but I like to write. I'm an INTJ, which is
Mm,
kind of an unusual personality type. Who and we INTJs are very analytical. We're
mm-hmm.
the nickname is for the INTJ is the mastermind or the architect because
Okay.
we kind of see we have really strong intuition where we can able to connect all the dots.
Mm-hmm.
And combined with that, and I like to write, what happened was I went on with the advertising business, did a lot of writing with that, when you write ads and you write proposals and you write plans. But I would, I stopped, I decided I wanted to write a book. And so I started getting up an extra hour early in the morning and I'd write for an hour and then go into the office. So I wrote what I guess the genre would be a romantic suspense novel.
Mm,
And it was pretty good. It's still in print. And it got published,
nice.
but I thought the publisher didn't do a very good job of promoting it.
Oh, okay.
And here I was in the advertising business promoting other people's products and stuff.
That's
So after a
funny.
while, I decided I'd learned enough about metaphysics from the Rosicrucians and everything else.
Yeah.
Uh, I decided I was going to write a book about the true nature of reality.
Okay.
And I called it Beyond Skepticism, and it's no longer in print. But I thought, well, you know what? I can do a better job of this. So I started this little publishing company in 1995
Mhm.
called the Oaklea Press. I was still working. I was the president of an ad agency by then,
Right. Okay.
and and so that's how I got started with that. But I now have over 200 books that are published through this
Mm,
little company called the Oakley Press, and
yeah.
I have been out of advertising for more than 10 years now and been concentrating on this.
Mm-hmm.
What I enjoy doing is either ghost writing a book with working with somebody if they have an interesting story to tell, or I've done a number of memoirs, but also other kinds of books. I've worked with psychologists who are writing, books on how to help, self-help kind of things.
Right. Yeah.
And I enjoy doing that. So if people come to me with a book that's ready to be published, I will publish it if it's good, if I think it's going to do well.
Yeah.
If it needs editing, then I will work out a deal where I'll help them get it ready to publish.
Right.
So that's what I do now,
Yeah.
and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you feel are some of the key attributes that align you with your purpose? Having lived perhaps dual lives, if not multiple lives, to a certain degree, you've been a president of an ad agency that you've loved, but also owning and managing this publishing company, as well as no doubt married life and children and all of those pieces too. So, how did you maintain that balance and that um, harmony, probably more so rather than balance, of all of these aspects of yourself that drive you into who you are today?
Yeah, well, I do believe that I have a purpose, and that I'm here for a reason. I think that the event that set me off was gonna happen. I mean, it was part of the plan.
The greater plan.
I
Yeah,
believe in what Edgar Casey said,
that's right.
which is that you plan your life. You have a purpose for being here.
Yeah,
You may have a mission, or you just may be here to learn something in particular. But
yeah,
you're here for a reason,
that's right.
and you decided what that was before you
Yeah,
took the plunge and
yeah.
came into this life through your mother's birth canal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that my purpose was and is to uh, torpedo the uh, materialistic worldview that
Mm-hmm.
exists, that is still taught in the school,
Mm-hmm.
which absolutely makes no sense whatsoever, that
Mm-hmm.
quantum physicists know is incorrect, but are
Mm-hmm.
too chicken, most of them, to confront the idiots who keep pushing that stuff out. And
Right.
so my purpose is to let people know that the true nature of reality is what the guy who came up with quantum mechanics, uh, Max Planck, said in 1931, and that is that the ground of being, that everything comes from consciousness. Consciousness, everything is conscious. Everything is
Yeah.
conscious.
Yes.
A rock is conscious. Everything.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What the universe is made of is conscious energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we are, and that's what everything is.
Yeah.
And the Hindus are right. It's Maya. It's all an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my goal and my mission is to get that word out, and I've been trying to do it for the last 30 some years.
Yeah. 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 For sure. For sure.
And along the way, there are other things. Somebody I can help. If I can help others understand, that's part of that mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to you right now.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's right. That's why I'm curious. So, to maintain a sense of order in your life, so you do stay on track with your mission, is there a routine? Is there a process? Is there some structure that you have in your own life that keeps you afloat and aligned and on tune of that mission?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I I'm getting pretty old, but I know that if I ever stop doing what I'm doing, then that
Yeah,
there's no
right.
reason to be here for. Might as well check out.
Mm,
So yeah, I if I'm not working on editing somebody's book or helping them ghostwrite it, then I'm going to be writing one of my own. So I
okay.
do that every day.
Okay. Yeah.
And I also have a little part-time job that gets me out of the house, and I think that's important. And interacting with people. I'm married, and I have good marriage, and but
Yeah.
I've got children but they're all scattered around.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got one lives in France, one lives in Oregon, one lives in New York, one lives in Georgia.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
so I don't see them a whole lot. But I do
Mm,
get out. I work in a hardware store a couple days a week, and
nice.
I have good friends there that I've made, and customers that come in that I see that are regulars.
That's
So
fun.
that's my social life. And I go
Yeah.
to church. I go to church with my wife.
Sure.
I'm she's a very devout Christian. I'm
Mm.
Christian in the sense that I believe Jesus knew what he was talking about, but he
Mm-hmm.
misinterpreted the old idea of being a sacrifice. I mean, that's a 2,000
Mm-hmm.
year old idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's Paul's
That's true.
take on
Yeah.
it,
Very
Apostle
true.
Paul,
Yeah.
because he was a Jew and that's what Jews did. But if you want to know the truth about Jesus, read James. James had it right.
Mm.
He, but he only wrote one book of the Bible. He's actually was Jesus' brother.
Mm. Okay.
So he knew who knew, but people go with Paul, who never actually met Jesus in the flesh.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I enjoy going to church and hearing the sermons, and
Yeah.
I profess to be a Christian in the sense that Jesus, if you read what he said, he was right. He,
Yeah.
I and the Father are one, just like
Right.
you are.
Right.
You and the Father are one, and I am
Right.
the Father. We're
Yeah.
all one.
Yeah. 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 We are too. Absolutely. Yeah. So how does that work with your process or your thinking or your analogy of not only life after death, but also karma? And I know obviously Jesus' story in terms of his travels and his work in India and so forth, and learning all of those principles from that space. But what's your perspective in terms of where he comes from in your understanding of consciousness in the faith-based, but not really faith-based, because everything is consciousness, right? That's how we started the conversation.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I do believe that, and this is something I haven't written about, but I do believe that Jesus went the 18 years or whatever between
That's
when he
right.
was 12 and he spoke in the temple, and when John the Baptist baptized him, dunked him. There's about an 18-year gap, and that's when he
That's right.
went to India,
That's right.
learned all that,
Yeah.
which I mean, the ancient rishis knew all this 5,000 years ago,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
and came back and was trying to explain it to the Jews. But of course, they had this idea that God was an external being, Yahweh,
Mm-hmm.
who like an anthropomorphic, a human-like God, like
Mm-hmm.
well the Gentiles did too. I mean, they had Zeus and a
Mm-hmm.
whole pantheon full of gods were
Mm-hmm.
external beings.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so they didn't get it, and so
Right.
they Paul, who was uh, a high-ranking Jew and got converted on the road to Damascus. Everybody knows about that, where
Mm-hmm.
he claims that Jesus kind of blinded him and came to him and all. But anyway, he had a revelation, but he still interpreted the whole Jewish idea of having to have a sacrifice to God
Right.
in order to make things kosher,
Yeah.
and that is still the doctrine of the church today, unfortunately.
Yeah. It is.
I do think that, like I said, if you read James, James had it right. And Jesus definitely, if you read what he said, it's just plain as day.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was actually quoted pretty accurately by the people who wrote the Gospels, especially John.
Mm-hmm.
But I've forgotten what was your question.
How does that relate to consciousness for you? Because yes, there's a story, there is a story behind history for people to understand it and to um, embody it in these names and peoples and all that perspective. But we started the conversation of everything is ultimately consciousness. So the accessibility of this knowledge and wisdom that we have, and then bringing it into our own awareness and be able to leverage it for our own mission and vision of why we are here. What does that look like for you in terms of not only as you support people on their journey, but your own expansion and awareness?
Well, you mentioned the word karma recently, a while ago.
Yeah.
I think that's karma is real, and it is a learning tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we learn if we understand the mechanism, and that is that
Yeah.
you get back what you put out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're getting stuff that you don't want, you're not putting stuff out that you need to be. You got to make an adjustment there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
karma is a wake up call when you're getting bad stuff.
Okay.
So that's how you learn. And so the way I put my knowledge into practical use is, hey, if I've got a problem, it's not the external world that's trying to put it on me. It's I've done something that needs to be corrected,
Mm-hmm.
fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the way I use
That's your
that
perspective on it.
knowledge.
Hmm. So, what's your take on? You started the conversation early about your aunt,
Grandmother.
uh, yes, sorry, your grandmother, and that relationship. Because yes, that's a karmic thing, but it's also a lineage and a bloodline, a reincarnation, if you will, of coming through your bloodline, be it your dad's side and your mother's side, because she had such an aversion to religion, if you will. And you end up marrying somebody who is perhaps completely the opposite. So when I look at all these chain of events that happen in people's lives, my own included, I sit back and marvel and wonder and sift through that journey of why did I choose to have these experiences with these people, and what is the greater purpose of it for them and for me, and how can I learn and expand from it? Is there a karmic connection? Is that the tether between the relationship, and what needs to happen in order for it to unfold and for us to learn our lessons from what that looks like? And that happens through relationships, it happens through family, parents, colleagues, and all those people that we end up touching in life.
I, we talked about this earlier. I think you choose a life, and because you have a particular goal, whether it's a mission or to learn something, or both. And
Hmm.
I think that I was born into the family that had the witch in the family
Hmm.
for a
Hmm.
reason. Because
Why? Why do you think that is?
because it well, I've written a book about her and about
Okay.
time, and what it enabled me to do is to learn
Hmm.
uh, that the take on the witch trials that is probably still taught in history classes is incorrect.
Hmm.
Uh, the the idea that is taught in school still is that only matter exists,
Hmm.
that the brain creates consciousness,
Right.
which we know
It's not true.
is false.
Yes.
But that's the take that people have on those witch trials. Well, the fact of the matter is that a lot of what happened then was supernatural stuff. I mean,
That's right.
people were uh, there was mischief
Of course. Yes. Absolutely.
by
Yes.
evil beings.
Yes.
And I studied all that, wrote a book about it. It's done very well. Won a couple of awards.
Mm.
Called A Witch in the Family.
Mm.
And so, being born into the family with the witch enabled me to, or pushed me into
Yeah.
researching all that and learning a lot because of it,
Yeah.
and applying the things I learned from the Rosicrucians and from
Hmm.
Moody and so on, and the School of what is it, the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia, applying all that to what happened in 1692.
Hmm.
My ancestor was a kind of a festy woman who just didn't suffer fools well,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
that's not something you're supposed to do if you're a woman. You're not
Hmm.
supposed to be
Hmm.
feisty and tell people what you think of them and things like that.
Exactly. So
So
how did that shift your perspective in life as you move through in the 21st century?
well, it made me I don't know, it made me realize what's really going on.
Yeah.
So uh,
Did it change how you relate to people? Did it change how you raised your children? Engaged in relationship, be it even with your wife or your siblings or your parents or anybody? Did it what shifted for you in that awareness? Because I'm a great believer of things and people and places coming to our awareness for a reason. It's up to us to be able to not only understand it, but embody it and allow it to integrate into our lives so then we can shift it for a reason, shift how we move through the world on a very tangible way. Um, so, what was
yeah,
that for you?
well, what it made me realize, what I realize and have for some time, is that we're all on a path. Every one of us is on a path of evolution,
Hmm. Hmm.
and but we're in different places.
Yes,
And
yes.
someone who is on the path, who is a devout Christian and buys into all of that dogma,
Hmm.
you cannot change that. You
No,
if they ask you questions, you can answer them.
that's right.
You can't set them straight.
No,
And so you just realize that they're on a path and that's where they are. And eventually they'll be further along.
and that's okay too.
And
Yeah.
that's okay. Wherever they
Hmm.
are, it's okay.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at that. Now,
You founded this love for writing and sharing your knowledge with others and sharing the stories of who you are and the experiences that you've had consciously, but very unconsciously, and what's been passed down to you from your bloodline and your lineage. What's next for you? And I say that you're in your retirement years, and from what I know from people who are retired, they're even busier now than what they were when they worked full time, so to speak. So, what's next for you on this adventure and journey and curiosity of life?
well, that's a good question. I wish I knew the answer to. I'm looking for people who have stories that are interesting, that can help others.
Yeah,
And I want to help them birth those stories, bring those stories to life somehow, and get them
right.
out there. And I see myself doing that until they carry me out of here feet first.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it'd be an honor and probably a lot of fun to have you as an editor and somebody to publish a book with, based on not only your knowledge base, but the humor and the ease that you bring to a conversation with your expertise. So,
I
yeah.
want to ask you a question.
Yes, of course.
Tell me about your angel back there on your desk.
Tell me about my angel on the back
Got
of
an
my
angel.
desk.
You
Okay, it is an angel, yeah.
got an
It's an angel that belongs to a friend of mine, and she has been a really dear friend to me. So the angel belongs to her, and I just find it fitting when I do certain interviews with individuals and have something interesting to look at. But ironically, she's been there for a little while, so I welcome her here.
good. Just curious.
Yeah, and that sparks a curiosity because,
Well, I think, angels do exist. They don't actually have wings, though.
No, they don't. I agree. I agree. They don't. But it's beautiful to look at, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It's a pretty. I like your angel. I like. What's the little frame there? Trying to.
It's a amethyst. It's an amethyst stone.
Okay.
Yeah, crystal. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions that pique your curiosity?
Mm, of what I said, what do you think about it, and do you agree or disagree with what we've been talking about?
I agree with everything that you've said. Absolutely. I agree with everything you've said. I understand it. The principles are the same, the consciousness, the awareness, the religious component of it. I'm not as in tune with it as you may be, but on the peripheral, yes, I understand. And Jesus' story and what he shares and the mechanics of what consciousness is, that's my wheelhouse. That's this place that I live, eat, sleep, and breathe in is consciousness and energy and the transformation of it. So I completely agree, but I'm also sparks more curiosity, and maybe we'll save this for next time in terms of the other lifetimes and the other versions of humans that have existed on this beautiful planet called Mother Earth. Now I'm tapping into the place of Atlantis and Lemur and all these other lifetimes that we have access to, and how the evolution of Mother Earth is changing, because we are in a real pivotal place at this moment of time of transition of not only consciousness but the planet, and then obviously that ripple effect out of universe and multi-universe of quantum fields, of how it's shifting all that as well, um, opening up invitation for other life form and existences to be more visible, and for us to have that visibility as the consciousness on Mother Earth increases and the souls on it, you and I, our consciousness increases and frequency increases, so we're able to then see what's actually really happening, what kind of support we're really getting. So
Yeah,
that's
I
a
think
really
we're
long-winded answer.
yeah, well, I think we're definitely in a transitional time, no question. I guess Frog says we're moving from third density to fourth. By the way,
Yeah. Hmm.
something that occurred to me while you were talking that I think is interesting, and
Hmm.
that is, when you look at uh, the lifetime of anyone, an individual, it's a
Hmm.
hero's journey. You
Hmm.
you leave your ordinary world, which is in another dimension. You come here to this
Yeah.
very kind of strange and crazy place. You
Yeah.
work through it, and then you eventually go back more wiser and more evolved if you do a good job
Choose.
in life.
Yeah. Yeah. If you
And
choose.
that's also that hero's journey is also the plot for any good novel. I've written 5 novels, and it's the plot, except for murder mysteries and things that are mysteries. But if it's an adventure kind of book or a thriller, that's the plot. And also, it's Jesus' life.
Hmm.
He,
Hmm.
was
True.
born into this. He went off. He uh,
Yeah, that's fair.
he met with the mentor, was John the Baptist. He started his ministry, and then
Yeah.
he had the dark moment when he was crucified, and then he comes back. I mean, it's the hero's journey, classic
Yeah, it's fair.
thing. So anyway, I just thought
Mm.
I'd leave people with that idea that they are on a hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Make the most of it and
Mm-hmm.
learn what you can. And when you go back home, you'll be on a higher level than you were when you came here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the objective, perhaps. That's the goal. But in the meantime, I think we can get lost in wanting to balance that karmic scale out too much and maybe forget to live life, because Mother Earth is such a beautiful planet
Yeah.
and we forget.
Yeah, that's
So,
one of the things that's come to me in recent years, is especially this year when spring came along, and the leaves and the flowers, and and you just see that that's all conscious energy.
It is. Yeah.
You're right in that part of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
one with it.
Yeah. And then also, want to add to that, we're of it. So our cells are vibrating at that same frequency as to what we utter in whatever frequency that is. Because even voice, sound has a frequency. So when we talk to ourselves, we talk to ourselves, and that's vibrating too. So there's no end to consciousness and how we can relate to it and how we can influence it on a positive, in a benevolent way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I think, yeah, I love this conversation, and I think we could probably go longer too, but I want to maybe save some juicy stuff for the next time that we get to have a conversation, hopefully. I want to thank you for taking your time, your energy, and sharing your story and your journey with me on this conversation. So thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you.
Been my pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Naranjan, and you've been listening to Master of Your Crafts podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and join me next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.